everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing a full face of nothing over $10. I am so excited. This is the look that we ended up doing. I am also going to be doing a check-in at the end of the video. We are doing an all-day wear test of all of this makeup under $10 to see if it can compete with those higher and luxury price tags, especially with the way that makeup prices are going recently. Everything is so expensive. Why are there drugstore products that are $20? Blows my mind. What the heck? That under $10 category is really shrinking. So there are some things in here that are $10 because I just didn't have enough under $10. But that doesn't mean that there aren't some absolute gems under $10, and that doesn't mean that there aren't some absolute crap products under $10. So we are putting it all to the test, doing an all-day wear test to see, can makeup that is under $10 compete with these higher price tags? I firmly believe that makeup is makeup. Price tag only means so much, just makeup at the end of the day. So let's give the affordable makeup a chance. No one can tell how much your makeup costs once you walk out the door, or can they? That is what we are testing today. So if you want to see all of the makeup and how it holds up, just keep on watching. We're going to be starting with the eyes. That's why I have my little reusable eye masks on. These are not under $10. These are from DUPE, but this is mostly just to catch up because I want to go in with some glitters. This is the Lottie London Harley Quinn Pouts and Pigtails palette. The colors in here just like look very romantic and very girly. So I love like these pink shimmers right here. So beautiful. Lottie London has another glitter eyeshadow formula that is not these ones. I have not felt this formula from Lottie London before. These almost feel as soft as like a Colourpop Super Shock shadow. So very excited about these. I'm gonna start with this kind of pinky tan in here. Harley Hues, just pick that up on a nice little fluffy brush. That's kind of just gonna go all over the crease, maybe a little bit in the lid and above. This is just to lay down something. You can see it's very sheer. It is showing up, but it's very light. It's coming off much lighter on the eyes than it even is in the palette. And there is a lot of kickback in the palette, if you can see, which here's the thing. If an eyeshadow is like really pigmented and blends beautifully, I don't care. But if it's, you know, not giving pigment the way that I want it to, then I kind of care. The London matte eyeshadows across the board are kind of a you get what you pay for formula. They're not the worst, but they're also not the best. Like, again, I say this all the time with Lottie London eyeshadow. I'm okay paying the price that they set for it, but if I paid any more for these eyeshadows, I would be upset about it. That's laid down. I'm between Glitter Squad, Harley Glow, and a Mad Love, so these three. I think I'm gonna go with Harley Glow all over. Laid down pretty well on the eye. They're not skipping, they're not getting chunky. Okay, and then I am gonna take Glitter Squad right there. I will say these glitters do not pick up with the brush, so don't even attempt. In Glitter Squad, I'm gonna really press onto that inner third. This is one of those like very sheer, very light, almost no base, but like pinky. The formulas are good, but they're not great. We'll see how it wears throughout the day. There's nothing in here for me to complete my look. Like, you know, there's no like, I would just love like one matte brown in here. Like, this is definitely an accessories palette. You can't do a whole look with only this palette and not dipping into anything else. So I'm gonna go grab like a brown or something from another palette and then I'll be back. Okay, now let's get into complexion. So taking those little eye masks off. Let's start with primer. The Covergirl TruSkin Velvet Blur Primer. I do not love a blurring primer around the face just because personally I don't find that, I've never tried one that does anything. But what I do love is taking a little bit and then putting that under the eyes. I find that this really helps prevent my concealer from settling into my fine lines and like creasing and breaking up throughout the day. I mean, if it's meant to smooth your foundation, it can smooth your concealer, right? For foundation, I'm gonna give you about like 5 seconds to guess what foundation I'm gonna be using. It is the Wet n Wild Photofocus Dewy Foundation. This is my most repurchased foundation of all time, and it is literally $5. I have the shade Light Cool Rose Ivory. I have been consistently buying this foundation for like 6 years, and it has never failed me. I love this foundation because it has buildable coverage. You can get beautiful glowy finish with it, and it does not break up throughout the day. One of the most perfect foundations in my opinion. Again, a product that I would pay much more, but I am glad that it is only $5. When I do apply it with a sponge, I do need to use a bit more product and go in layers and build it up, but when you do that, this will last 12 hours and not break up if you take your time and build it up with that sponge. You may have to do a couple layers, but it will be worth it. So that's just one really thin layer, and you can see just nice light coverage. That is 2.5 layers, and just, it's so smooth, beautiful, like a nice healthy glow. It's not greasy or anything like that. Like, this is a stunning, beautiful foundation. Okay, now let's get that foundation off the lips because I cannot stand foundation on my lips. And then for a lip mask, we're gonna go in with this from Fourth Ray Beauty, Colourpop, same brand, same lip mask. This is the strawberry flavor. If you are looking for a great alternative to the Laneige lip mask, highly recommend the Fourth Ray Beauty lip mask. Now for concealer, this is the NYX Pro Fix Stick. I have the shade 3 Alabaster. I used to not love these, but I've been using these so much recently. I've been using them also as foundation. Like, I'll just scribble all over my face and then buff that in with like a really dense brush, and it comes out stunning every time. I have also, when I've been doing that, been using it as concealer as well. And I don't know when my thoughts shifted on this, but it's just a very creamy stick that melts really nicely into the skin. And I do love to blend this in with a very dense brush. I find that that is the best way to go about this concealer. Something about a sponge kind of like breaks it up, and a loose brush is not enough because it is a bit of a thicker, creamier formula. So a very dense brush. This is from Jessup Beauty. This is like their dupe for the Makeup by Mario F4, and it is spot on. And there is that concealer up close and personal. It's just sank in, melted beautifully. Now for blush and bronzer, they're both going to be liquids and creams because I actually don't have powder blush from the drugstore. If you have a favorite, let me know because I don't know why I don't have one. For blush, we are going in with the e.l.f. Camo liquid blush in the shade Suave Mauve. And so because I am only using a liquid and then I'm gonna set my face with a powder and I'm not going to be using a powder blush, I am going to apply this with a little bit of a heavy hand so that way that blush comes through over the powder. I'm going to just pick it up directly from the stick with my brush. So it's gonna be a lot at first. I will be the first to tell you that. It's gonna look intense, but I am doing it on purpose, I promise. Which that is a really great hack if you are someone who only uses a liquid or a cream product, and then you're gonna go set your face with powder and you're not gonna put a powder blush or something on top. Look like a clown first. Look like a clown first. That blush is going to still come through because I cannot tell you how many times I've put on a liquid blush and I'm like, I love this, and then I set with powder and it just fucking disappears. And if you ever bring anything a little bit too far forward, just take whatever you used for your foundation, whether that's a brush or a sponge, just tap it over that area where you accidentally put it, and it's just like a little magic eraser. I am building it up rather than going in with like a heavy hand all at once because that's not gonna blend out and then you're gonna be... Okay, now we are sufficiently clowned. One thing I will say about this liquid blush in particular, it does pick up a little bit of what's underneath it, but not as bad as some other liquid blushes. Something about blush in particular. I don't usually have this problem with bronzers, but liquid blushes and like very emollient cream blushes, even if I apply them super gently, this one does it ever so slightly, but it is not as bad as some others. And for bronzer, I'm going to go in with a little bit of the Colourpop Bronze Stix. This is the shade Laguna Beach. A hint of a cool tone as well. It has a little bit of pink in there, but it is mostly neutral. That's another thing. Cool tone bronzer does not mean gray. It does not mean contour. Cool toned bronzers could have some pink in there. It could have some blue. They're still going to warm up the skin. An orange tone bronzer is going to be more warm. A pink tone bronzer is going to be considered on the cooler side of bronzers. Again, not a contour, but it is going to warm up the skin much more naturally on fair skin when you have something that leans a bit pinker, a little bit cooler in tone. So cool tone bronzer does not equal contour. People get that very confused and mixed up. That's a little fun trick for you. On my little brush, this has been my favorite way to apply bronzer recently, is with a little fluffy brush, and then I'm just going to go under that blush, kind of shape the face a little bit while bringing some warmth. I do love this formula. It is very creamy and sinks into the skin. Now is my favorite and least favorite part of doing my makeup when I'm using a lot of liquids and creams, and that is the marinating stage. So I will just chill for like 5-10 minutes and just let all of my liquids and creams set as much as they are going to set before I go in with powder, so that way I'm not setting like fresh wet makeup and it's gonna become like putty on my face when you mix that powder in with that liquid. I don't want that, so I let everything set as much as it's going to on its own before I powder, and I call that the marinating stage. So I'm going to be marinating for the next 5-10 minutes and I will be right back, but for you that's right now. Okay, now that everything has been marinating for I don't know, five-ish minutes, everything is basically as set as it's going to get. I'm gonna go in with the Maybelline Fit Me Pressed Matte and Poreless powder. I have the shade Translucent, and this shade is a little bit too light for me, and it has a good amount of coverage to it as well. That's why I went so hard on the cheek products, because I know that this is going to cover significantly a little bit of that bronzer and blush. Just setting my under eyes with the denser side of this brush. This is that same Jessup brush I was talking about earlier. Taking that denser side and setting that kind of center of my face. This powder I would say is most similar to Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Setting Powder. This is what I would say is currently the closest drugstore alternative to Charlotte Tilbury, because it used to be number 7 and then number 7 went and changed their formula. So it's not an exact dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury. I do prefer Charlotte Tilbury, I'm gonna be completely honest. I do prefer it. This can get a little bit heavier, a little bit faster, but the Charlotte is also too dark for me, whereas the line, the shade range of the Maybelline, far superior. There's like 20 shades of the Maybelline where there's only 4 of the Charlotte Tilbury. And then I'm gonna take the other side of that Jessup brush. So this side is much denser and then this side is lighter and fluffier. And I'm going to use that side to set the rest of my face, so that way it's not as much coverage coming from the powder, but I am still setting it. And you can see putting that powder over top of the blush just completely toned it down. And you will know when your makeup is fully set by the powder when you touch it and it is not sticky anymore. So I touch here, that's completely set. Right here, I'm still feeling some liquid tackiness. So a little bit more powder, all set. And this is that powder close up. So very smooth, airbrushed. There's a little bit of that luminosity still coming through from underneath my makeup. It is not a flat matte. The most important thing about a powder is not how it looks, it is how it wears. Let's finish up the eyes now. I want to take this blue, this Put and Pop, on the lower lash line. I'm just gonna pack that at the lash line. And I am just stamping. I am not like rubbing back and forth or blending it out at all, because the stamping motion over and over is going to blend it out slightly. Okay, I think that's actually pretty decently pigmented for a blue. Highlighter, this is from Colourpop. This is from the Frosty the Snowman collection, but it is the Super Shock highlighter. This is in the shade Icicle Spree, so it has that little pinky undertone to it. My one gripe with this formula is that it doesn't pick up on a brush, and so I have to use my finger, but then when I tap it out with my finger, I'll just show you, it gets glittery. And I don't love a glittery highlight, because when I swatch it like that, that's not that glittery, but you can't obviously swipe it onto your face, but it doesn't pick up with the brush, so you just kind of have to deal with the glitter. They are nice. Not my absolute favorite highlight formula though. Moving into brows, the e.l.f. Wow Brow. This is $5 and it is one of, if not the best, fiber brow gel I've ever used. This does not have hold to it, but most fiber brow gels also don't have hold to them. So there is no hold. I'm gonna go in with a separate brow gel for hold, but this just adds some color and some volume to the brows by adding in those little fibers. Neutral Brown is the shade that I use. Like, it's a small component. There's not that much product in here, but for $5, I'll repurchase it. That is not a problem. Just look how full the brows are now. I have naturally full brows anyway, but this just like looks a little bit more full. Like, you can't see those sparse areas like you could before, but it's not blocky. For a hold, we are going in with the Maybelline Superlock Brow Gel. This stuff is literal cement for your brows. The wind will fear your brows with this gel. This is not for the faint of heart, okay? This is difficult to remove. Your cleansing balm will be put to work, but your brows are not going anywhere. And you'll see at the end of the day too, my brows are not going to move. And now let's finish up with a nice little lip combo for a lip liner. This is the Colourpop So Juicy Lip Liner. This is, I believe, the shade Westwood. This is their plumping peptide lip liner. This is a just nice cool toned shade. It is ultra creamy. This is hands down the creamiest slip in and slide in lip liner I have ever used. So if you hate a wooden liner, you hate a dry lip liner, you will absolutely love this formula. I prefer a bit of a stiffer formula, but I will say I do really enjoy this formula. That shade is stunning. This is the shade, again, Westwood. There is that slight minty sensation to it because it is like a plumping lip liner, so it is a little bit minty, but I don't mind it. It's not too strong. It's like a barely there kind of mintiness. And then for a lipstick, we are going in with the Wet n Wild Mega Last Matte Lipstick in the shade Barrett All. It's just a very nice nude pink. It's a little bit warmer in tone than the lip liner, but I find that this is just a very stunning shade that goes with cool tones and warm tones. This shade, this formula, it's Wet n Wild. I believe this is like a $3 lipstick, like $3.50 or something like that. It works with every sort of tone, every shade. We're going a little bit pinkier today, and it's perfect for that. If we went browner, it would be perfect for that. If we went, I don't know, just like very pale nude, it would be perfect for that. And the formula, it's not a super drying matte. It is called the Mega Last Matte, so a long wearing matte. That can be a little bit intimidating. It is not drying. It is not going to suck the life out of your lips. It is a very comfortable matte as well. And then finally, we're gonna top it with a gloss. We are going with the NYX Fat Oil Lip Drips. This is the shade Supermodel. It's a pink with a hint of some shimmer in there. Not my favorite lip glosses in the world. Lip oil is a bit of a stretch. They're not really an oil, they're just a gloss. It's just a gloss, and for a gloss, it's pretty good. Is it the best gloss ever? No, and these are $10. I wish they were less, in my humble opinion. And this is the final look. I will do a check-in at the end of the day, but right now, everything still holding up very nicely. I think everything looks pretty good for under $10 full face. Everything is blending together really nicely. Nothing is breaking up. Nothing is hating each other. I don't think you could tell just from looking that any of this is drugstore because it all just like looks really nice. But I will see you at the end of the day. It has been 4 hours now. This is how my makeup is holding up. I think everything's really good. There is some glow coming in through the powder, but nothing is breaking up. Nothing has broken up. So the powder is still doing its job. Everything is still set in place. There is just some glow coming through, but nothing has broken up. Nothing has faded. Everything's holding up. Okay, my dishwasher is on. Hopefully you can't hear it that loudly, but I've been wearing this now for about 7.5 hours. This is how everything is looking. Honestly, the powder, there is some, you know, glow coming through because that is a very glowy foundation, but nothing has broken up around my face. Nothing has migrated. Nothing has fallen apart. So while that glow is coming through, everything is still set in place. Brows are still on. The eyeshadow, I will say, did not falter. It did not falter. I did not expect it to hold up this well. I mean, the lip products always wear off. What do you want? It's a lip gloss and like lip liner. Like, what do you want from it, you know? But I really feel like we can say all of this performed as well as high end. Like truly wouldn't have known a difference at all. And even if I turn my little filming light off, it's very dark, but you can see a lot of that like glow was coming from like flashback from the light a little bit. So all of this under $10, absolute gems. My light just went out and that's my cue. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.